This is Atmospheric Sciences 231, briefing number 1 by Robert Knapp. This is for Fred Reamer's online class. Right into it with the surface analysis chart. We see that in the Minnesota, North Dakota area, we have some high pressure systems that are pushing out some low pressure systems. However, we do have another low pressure system coming in, but looks like it'll stay clear of us, and it should stay more in the South Dakota area. We have another high pressure up here. I'm guessing with all these high pressure systems and this cold front that's pushing out this warmer weather that we might have some thunderstorms in this area, but we'll take a look at that later. Next we have a wind speed and streamline or jet stream here. Looks like it's especially strong over the Minnesota, North Dakota area here. All the wind is pretty much flowing west to east, which is pretty standard. Looks like it's about 40 to 50 knots up here. In some cases might be getting to 60 to 80 knots, and then even up in this up over Canada, maybe hitting 100. So pretty normal for those winds. Next we have our freezing levels. Over most of the United States, we see the freezing level is between 15,000 and 17,000 feet. However, in the North Dakota area, that's a little bit lower. And as we press up into Canada, we see it just continues to drop. No surprise there. So over North Dakota looks like about 13,000 feet for our freezing level, and maybe in Minnesota, South Dakota. In other areas, it's maybe 15 to 17,000. Alright, we have our icing severity. Noticing that kind of where we saw those high pressure systems that were pushing out, those cold fronts that were pushing that warmer weather down. We have the threat of SLD here, and we maybe have some like heavy icing, probably some clouds, maybe cumulonimbus clouds in this area. We notice over North Dakota we're pretty clear, but then a little bit of SLD and maybe light to moderate icing here. And then also in the southern part of the United States, southwestern part, we have kind of ice all around that area at higher altitudes. Alright, we have our infrared satellite. We're seeing that trend happening here where we thought those high pressure systems and that cold front was pushing out the warmer weather. It looks like there are some clouds here where we're seeing that icing. So that's kind of building up over Nebraska, South Dakota, and a little bit over maybe the Twin Cities area, and that's even pushing up into the Great Lakes region. And then in the southwestern part of the United States, where we saw some of that icing, here's some of those clouds, so maybe got some known icing down in those areas at higher altitudes. Next we have our water vapor satellite, and again in these regions, in the maybe upper Nebraska, South Dakota, and pushing up into Minnesota, this area, we have a lot of water vapor, looking like definitely like some cumulonimbus clouds and heavy precipitation in this area. So keep an eye on that if you're flying in that area. And then again in the southwestern part of the United States, we're seeing a lot of water vapor down there as well. Moving on to our radar. Yep, looks like there's definitely a system here. Some thunderstorms that have been building. Looks like they're kind of pressing on toward the southeast, kind of going along that direction with where those high pressure systems and that cold front was pushing. So we have a lot of the really intense areas at the leading edge here, pressing on southeastern. We do have a convective segment for these areas, all around Nebraska here and the eastern part of South Dakota and the southern part of Minnesota. We have convective segments, and those will probably continue to move southeast. It says severe thunderstorms moving from 240 at 20 knots, tops above flight level 450. Hail as big as 2 inches and wind gusts to 60 knots. So that's a pretty rough thunderstorm making its way southeast. We see that there are segments just in general for this entire area, convective segments, maybe some turbulence. So I would just advise caution when flying in this area. Just avoid it completely. So Grand Forks was pretty well clear of that area. The TAF is not reporting any major weather. Looks like it'll be pretty good visibility. Only 7 knots, 5 knots, maybe 10 knots, with some clouds up in the 6,000 to 12,000 range. So Grand Forks is looking pretty nice. Definitely making some nice VFR flights today out of Grand Forks. And then again, we can look at the METAR. Looks like Grand Forks is pretty well clear. 7 knots of wind, 10 statute miles visibility clear. Although it looks like the atmosphere is pretty close to saturation, so you might want to keep an eye on that. Temperature 18, dew point 17. So if the might have some cloud development there. But overall, nice day here in Grand Forks. All that weather was further to the south, southeast, so nothing we should have to worry about. And that concludes this weather briefing.